So your spouse can't hold you accountable to your fitness goals. You can't use your family as an excuse not to do them. And you need to be leading by example so your children follow in a better example for you so they have a better, healthier lifestyle. All these things are on your shoulders, and it's time you started to take care of them. So, Alphas, welcome back to the show. My name's Andy Naylor, CEO and founder of Naylor Body Design, and your host of the Optimal Alpha podcast. And I hope that you are having the best day ever. So we're going to round up and conclude what has been, well, really a really interesting short series that I've done that has had, to be completely honest, far more interaction back from everybody across social media that listens to the podcast and watches it on YouTube than I thought we would have. And it's a series that we'd planned out a number of different topics, and we have planned out topics across the rest of the year to talk about. And family, family and health and these sorts of areas just happened to be the first one that we were going to put in. And I want to thank everybody from all the different areas that people have reached back out and said how on point this was, or how much it resonated with them, and how useful they found it, and how it's kind of made them not feel alone in certain circumstances, or not isolated in certain circumstances around how they've been feeling. Because we've talked about, and we're going to recap this today, we've talked about people trying to use their spouses as some sort of accountability partner, which isn't going to work. Maybe having a feeling of that their family is sabotaging their health and fitness goals, when really it's not their fault. And not really knowing how to be the best leader for their children and in the family unit. And a lot of the people, I guess, are feeling that this is a very isolating set of problems, because I can get that. They're not necessarily the sort of things that you would go and speak to someone about and just open up a conversation about. So a lot of people are struggling with these things, and maybe struggling in silence, and people don't have to do that. So we've had a lot of people reach out very genuinely saying, look, this is, this has been really interesting to hear. And I've only spoken about really the things that we have had our clients say to us about issues they were struggling with before they came and joined us. And no, we are not the solver of all problems. I'm not saying that at all, but we certainly are aware of these things, only because they've been brought to us over the 2 decades, the 20 years that we've been doing this. We've seen these problems occur over and over again. And so the good coaches that we strive to be, well, our job is to solve them. It's as simple as that. So let's recap through what we've been discussing. So first of all, don't let your family unknowingly sabotage your goals and then start to use that as an excuse not to do something, because that happens a lot. So most men understandably still feel the societal pressure of being the provider for their family, the protector for their family. Like, it's still very much a male trait, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, until it means you stop taking care of yourself. I speak to men every single day who feel guilt to some degree when they start to take real time for themselves, like really, devote time for themselves to maybe prep their own meal, or, go through their own fitness routine that maybe feels like it's isolating them from their family. They feel like they should be grafting at work, or they should be at home spending time with their family. Like, they're the only two things that they can really do. Anything else is either a treat or they feel guilty for doing it. So what happens is they're unknowingly sacrificing their own health. They're focused on building a business, being successful at work and nurturing their family, but they're sacrificing themselves on the way to doing that. And over the years, that becomes a problem. We know where this leads. Ultimately, poor health, illness, maybe regret. Oh my goodness, maybe even resentment. Just sit and think on that for a moment. Maybe after too many years of there not being enough communication, possibly, there being this feeling of guilt that was no one's fault in the first place, possibly, to somewhere way down the line, it's a regret of, I never looked after myself and now here I am with poor health, and a resentment of the family, when it maybe wasn't even their fault in the first place. You cannot use your family as an excuse. Get out your own head. Do what's right. Take care of you. Sometimes doing what other people necessarily want isn't what's best for them. This is a tough conversation. Maybe your family want you to be there all of the time. Maybe that's understandable, but maybe if they were helped to realize somehow that if you didn't take care of yourself, well, you're only cutting short the amount of years you're around and down the quality of the time that's going to be. Okay, take care of yourself first. This goes to everybody. Your health and wellness is only the responsibility of one person. You. That's it. We then delved into, taking this a step further, we then delved into being a role model. Certainly being a role model for the family, but I would say certainly for the children, the next generation down, your kids, right? Or as in, I don't want to say work team people are a family, but if you work in a close-knit team at work and you are leading that team, you are still required to lead by example, not only in the job, the task, the thing that you do, but probably how you lead your life, the person you are, your integrity, your work ethic, your ability to go and switch off when you have to do it. Everybody around you is learning from you. There is a phrase, which is something along the lines of, you are the sum part of the 5 closest people around you, right? We've all heard something like that. And yes, there's a heck of a lot of truth in that. So imagine if you aspired to some degree to try and be one of those 5 people for all of the people that you knew. Imagine that. Imagine if everybody that you knew were asked, who are your 5 people? And your name kept cropping up over and over again. That means you're a leader. That means you have something to give to the people around you. But to be able to do that, you need to look after yourself. So, but back to children. I think the best, and I said this a moment ago, the best thing we can give to our children is not what we didn't have, it's what we didn't know. We should be passing down knowledge that has taken us maybe 3-4 decades to learn of our life. There is so much knowledge in there. If you've bothered to pay attention and learn, there is so much knowledge in there that you can then pass down to shortcut the route to success for your children. Isn't that part of one of the key jobs of parenthood? I guess that's for debate. It would be for me. It would be for me, as long as, as well as many other aspects. But my goodness, okay, I'm in my 4th decade of life. I've learned a fair bit. I can pass that down and shortcut the route to success. You are your children's hero. There is a point in your children's life where they look up to you like you are Superman. But understand, that's short-lived. You don't get that window of opportunity for very long. You are their mentor in early life. You are their leader. They are copying you. They are emulating you. So you must choose what they copy. What version of you do you want your children to see? What habits, what traits, what behaviors? You already know while listening to this what you would prefer they didn't pick up from you. That's a good place to start. In other words, what right now are your bad habits that you would prefer your children didn't pick up from you? Start there. Maybe that's a simple lesson that's telling you they're probably the things you need to change. Maybe it's poor eating habits. Okay, maybe it's bad sleep hygiene. Maybe it's drinking too much. Maybe it's being super stressed. Maybe, just maybe, it's not taking enough time for yourself. Now, there's an interesting paradox. Think on that for a second. If you're struggling to allow yourself time for yourself right now, and your children are watching that, are you not just going to pass that down in a similar way that maybe your parents passed bad habits down to you? If you're struggling with that and you know that you've regretted how much time that you've been able to spend on yourself for whatever reason, you got caught up in the rat race, you thought you had to do more at home than you did, or whatever the reasons are, whatever reasons you've got, do you want your children to watch that and go through exactly the same problems that you are? Or do you want to draw a line in the bloody sand and not show them that by dealing with it yourself? You must be the first in line for, say, like to lead by example. You must be the first in line to go and get the good, healthy food. Okay, leading by example. You must be the first in line to set up and maybe instigate, family sports activities. Lead by example. You should be the first to be looking to learn, to become better, to become stronger, fitter, healthier, whatever it might be. Lead by example. Lead by a clear example. And then the last topic that we spoke about was your partner, your spouse, your wife cannot truly hold you accountable. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Support, yes. Support and accountability are not the same thing. They're very different. They might seem the same. They might seem the same on the box on the outside, but that when it really comes down to it, they are not the same. They can support you, yes, but true accountability, no. And true accountability takes work, which is why people like us do it, professionally. It isn't easy. It isn't easy to truly hold someone accountable in the right way. Okay. So why do you think it's fair to even ask your partner, your spouse, your wife to hold you accountable? Why is that fair? Is it fair? Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know everyone's relationship. Everybody's relationships are different, but is it really fair? Maybe not. You owe more to them than to lean on them like that, I would suggest. You have another relationship with your partner, probably one of love, affection, trust, family, parenthood. Those are already challenges in the modern world. They are already stressful. There's already conflict in those things. There's enough. How about you honor those things first, rather than asking and using up more energy and their time to hold you accountable? Alphas, I interrupt this show with a simple message. This show is here to benefit you and your progression to the best version of yourself. But not only just you, it's also here to benefit the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, other alphas in your vicinity. So why not do a really cool thing today? Something that I would thank you for, and maybe someone else would. Share this podcast with at least one other alpha out there who you know would benefit from it. Why not share the information, share the ability for someone else to grow? I'm sure they would thank you. I 100% would absolutely thank you. This podcast only grows by our listeners, our followers doing amazing things like giving us 5-star reviews, downloading podcasts, subscribing, and then of course sharing it with other people. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Share it with one person, and of course drop us a 5-star review, download the podcast, and of course subscribe. And now back to the show. Another reason is you and your spouse will have very different ideas and views on things. She might have different knowledge than you, different drivers than you, different goals, different motivations, different beliefs on what works and what doesn't, different schedules, different standards. How far you might want to push your health and fitness might be so far beyond where your partner might consider it normal, acceptable. How are they going to hold you accountable? Or it could be the other way around. You could be thinking, right, this is what I want to do. And they're thinking, well, you need to be doing a heck of a lot more than that. That's going to be conflict very quickly. Okay. So don't ruin your relationship by asking for their accountability on something that's your responsibility in the first place. Now, I'm not saying that you must do this alone. Of course not. There are other ways to get external accountability, but don't lean on them. Don't put pressure inside the family unit. So with all this said, here are my thoughts to wrap up this current family series that I've really enjoyed, and I'm pretty sure we're going to come back to it at some point. The singular phrase I use so often is this: put your own mask on first. Put your own mask on first. Now, side story, just for funsies, this comes from being on a plane, and when they talk about the oxygen masks falling down, they say how to use the oxygen mask and put your own mask on first before helping others. Now, this year on a trip back from Las Vegas back over here to Dubai, on a BA flight, all the masks fell down. We hadn't been in the air very long. I don't even think we'd leveled off, and the masks fell down, and there was an automated tannoy, I don't know, like there was like instructions came over the speakers or whatever. I've never seen so many people sit so still in their life. And you know, 3 masks fell down above me, and there's no one next to me. There was no one next to me whatsoever. Like, I was in a little pod all of my own. And so I had no one to put the mask on. But the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, okay, like how long until the next thing's about to happen? It is a very surreal experience. And any of you that have gone through it, you might understand. But you sit there for a moment and you just, I don't know, you wait for an engine to stop or the plane to fall out the sky. I don't know. But you pull these masks down, and it was a technical error, so there was no oxygen coming out. But we still sat and put a mask on, right? So we're all sitting there with a mask on, looking around. And I just sat there thinking, put your own mask on first. Anyway, funny side story. Your health and wellness is just your responsibility. Yours alone, that's it. So the buck stops with you. Whatever bad habits you collected from your parents, you should already know what they are. So damn well deal with them so you don't pass them on to your children, because your children would be next. Guard them from those bad habits. So really also, last thing I wanted to do here, again, we deal with a lot of men in exactly these circumstances. And I just sort of went looking back through our check-ins and looking for notes of people just a couple who I know have been through certain circumstances and where, what we do has helped them particularly. And I've just got a few here that I'm going to read. I'm going to leave the names off because it's not fair that I do put names on. I'm just going to read basically what they'd put into their check-ins. My journey so far, at the start of this year, I wanted to get myself back to training and eating the right ways. It's been about 3 years since I've been in reasonable shape, feeling really shit and losing my mojo, both home and work life. It started to show, and I didn't like who I was. I don't know how many people can possibly resonate with that. But that's, again, immediately a lot of people that we talk to. So through my brother, he was able to put me in the direction of Andy Naylor. Sorting out my eating and getting back into training was easy through Andy. And really enjoying the changes in me that were happening and are still happening. I'm now where I want to be in my life. Family is great, and I have more focus on them, which it wasn't before, and my business is thriving more than before. And of course, I feel amazing in mind, body, and soul. Could not have done this if I hadn't reached out to Andy and the team for guidance. An amazing coach to have and work with. Still more to come. This is indicative of what we get back from the busy guys. Another chap. First of all, this chap had lost 30 pounds in 2 months. His first 2 months in the plan, 30 pounds down. That's life-changing in itself, right? Understanding that the dollar is minuscule compared to having longevity and the understanding of how to live a healthy, long lifestyle. It turned out that with having more discipline in my life, I saved dollars. We as a family are spending significantly less on dining out and entertaining by adopting a more active lifestyle. Simple changes deliver massive results. The mindset of smarter, not harder, rings true with this process. So, with all that being said, I don't really talk about much. I don't really think I talk about much in depth about our program, but I wanted to take an opportunity to sort of say to anyone that's been listening to this series, and I guess on the podcast in general, and specifically with this series, I think any of the things that have rung true, this is exactly what we help with. We aren't really, about just getting people in the shape of their life. Yes, we do that. Yes, we do that. We get people in the shape of their life, really, no matter what age that they're at. Like anything is possible. People come to us in their mid-40s and they'll see abs for the first time, or they'll, maybe they'll even get on stage, or they'll reverse, insanely bad healthy habits. This is what we do. But our real focus is very specifically about what this series was about, which is helping men, mainly, not just, but yes, mainly, lead the lifestyle and the role that they truly want to, which is dominating at work. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, just being insanely successful at work. And most of the people that we work with either have their own business or they're highly successful in someone else's, mainly C-suite, VPs, entrepreneurs, business owners, and many other things. But they're very, very challenging roles. So in terms of the amount of demands that are placed on the people that we work with in work is insane. And each one of the people that we speak to kind of has a feeling that it's just them. Like in their unit, in their life, they are the busiest person that they know. Yet then we speak to them like, yeah, you're the same as like 90% of the rest of the people that we work with. Our role is simple. It's to come into someone's world where they know that they're struggling and they can't necessarily see exactly what would be the right thing for them to do, and they don't necessarily have enough bandwidth left in their mind to be able to work the whole thing out, know what they're doing is the right thing for them. Because it's not easy. I've spent 20 years learning this stuff. If I wanted to, be really good at accounting, I wouldn't go and learn accounting. I'd go and find a bloody accountant because they've spent their life learning that. So what we offer to the men that we work with is the ability for them to delegate this to us. There will be a problem that they need to fix, and it will be a multifaceted problem. It's never just, I just need to sort my nutrition out and everything will be fine. That's utter bullshit. If you've ever said that to yourself, I can tell you you're lying to yourself, but you won't know it yet. That's okay. It's never, ever, ever just one thing. Doesn't work like that. The areas that we tend to focus on, yes, nutrition, yes, becoming more active and starting to, do whatever the activity is right for that person. But then there are unbreakable high performance habits. Habits are so key. And I'm not going to go into, we've spoken about habits on the podcast before, but habits are critical. Sleep hygiene, stress reduction, okay, true recovery, an understanding of how all these things tie together. So that when we start working with somebody, what will happen is one, there will be a sensation of like a big sigh out of, right, something's getting sorted finally. No more kicking the can down the road. Because what most people do is just spend their life procrastinating. Right? Something's not good. Something's a danger to me. And possibly that's health, longevity, being around to see the kids and the grandkids grow up. Right? But unraveling that and being able to find the solutions is not straightforward. This is what we do. We find the solutions. And our job is to make it easy. And I do mean that, make it easy. We don't come into someone's life and make it more difficult. Why would we do that? Our job is come in and make it easier. And what tends to happen is the feedback that you just heard from those two guys, which is all the key areas of someone's life tends to get a lot easier. They will sleep better, have less stress, they'll have far more energy, they'll be far more cognitively firing, there'll be no decision fatigue, and they will rock it at work. And if they're leading a team at work, that team will start to follow them. And as a side note, we actually look after people's teams as well. So we get involved in that as well. But they will be able to lead their team just by what we're telling them. But then at home, they will have an environment that is far more family centric. They will have no regret. There's going to be no resentment because they'll be doing things with the family and getting time away from the family for themselves so they can care for themselves, which makes them a better man. Better's not the right word. It improves their sense of being a man in their own way. Whatever their undeniable sense of what that means to them, it helps them. So now they're walking around, feeling 10, 20% better if at least in every area of their life. So my message right now is, if any of what I've said in today's podcast or the family series leading up, rings any bells, shakes any cages, rattles any sticks, if that's even a phrase, then don't suffer on your own. Don't think I just know what I know what I need to do. I just need to do it, because that's also you're just kidding yourself, right? You're just kidding yourself. First of all, to be blunt, you probably don't know what it is that you need to do. Possibly. And I know that might be hard to hear because maybe you've been an athlete all your life, which is another phrase I hear a lot. Been an athlete all my life. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. Stop fucking lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself. You haven't been an athlete all your life. You were a collegiate athlete and probably really good. You're now in your mid-40s and 50s. You've got 2 double chins. You're 50 pounds overweight and you're probably pre-diabetic. I'm just joking, but you get the point. We get stuck in a mindset that we're still somewhere back where we were when we were in our teens and 20s. But the men that we speak to have followed a path of uber success in terms of their role in jobs and career, but they've been completely sedentary for the past 20, 30 years, under stress, under pressure, poor habits. Where do you think that's going to lead? Because when you've gone, and I mean gone, that's clearly bad for you, but think of the people you've just left behind who love you and would like to see you around. So do something about it. If you would like to have a simple chat with me, where I can start to uncover some of the areas that you really do need to possibly focus on, and just give you uncover the sort of 3 to 5 major roadblocks that you've got, and just a very clear strategy of how to just go off and get on with it. In the show notes of every podcast, if you've not looked in them, but in the show notes of the podcast will be a link where you can go and have a little bit of a look at more of what we do. But also there'll be a couple of orange buttons in there where you can click and book a call just to speak to me. Just you and me, private conversation, where we can have a proper conversation about what is worrying you, what are the struggles, what does it mean to you, what does it mean to you to get these things fixed? Because it needs to mean something to you. And, what are the inherent struggles underneath that we can help you fix? It would be a great next step if you've sat here and listened to this and thought, you know what? I'm going down the path that he's been talking about, which is I get no time for myself. I'm stressed at work. I'm starting to, resent the family a little bit for having no time to myself. I can tell you now, I speak to people who are in their late 50s who have gone through that, and now they desperately need to do something about it. So if you're just beginning to feel like that, it's going to go one place, which isn't somewhere that, from the experience I get of the people that I speak to, is anything, not a nice place to go to. So go into the show notes, find the link, have a little quick look at the page that we've got in there, but ultimately, reach out. You can reach out, obviously, and message me in the comment section of YouTube, which, if you've never watched this on YouTube, by the way, probably worth it, because I'm not good looking. Kidding. But reach out, click the link, go and book a call. Let's have a conversation. Let's just see what we can do just to maybe align just one or two key areas of your life that will make a difference. That's it. Thank you for coming along and listening to the show, and I will catch you next week. Look after yourself. Take care.